What's up, y'all? Can you hear me? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. We got some breaking news here. The Las Vegas Raiders. They have signed not one, not two, but 3 players here. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Today has a chance to get a little bit wild. So in terms of overall, I think I had to hit go live. I don't know. It's kind of weird. The Raiders signed O.J. Howard. They signed Jaquan Johnson. And the Raiders ended up signing Jordan Willis as well. If you haven't already voted, please make sure you do so. And we're going to end the poll up there because now I got to make a new one. I plan on going live for Jaquan Johnson. We got an entire show set up. Then I was going to go live for O.J. Howard and Jaquan Johnson. Had to start a whole brand new show. Oh, I don't know who turned it off. And then we got to end up doing Jordan Willis, all 3 of them together, all in one. So out of those 3 players, which move do you like the best out of all of them? Like, out of all of the moves that the Raiders made today, which one is your favorite? If you want to shout out here on the Raiders Report, I want to get your one-word reaction to all 3 of the moves. Steven's going to go with talented. Unknown Raider guy wants the silver and black to trade up to number 3. The thing that we're going to end up doing here on today's show is we're going to be breaking down the news around all 3 of these players. And then I'm going to tell you how it impacts the silver and black, both on the offense and on the defensive side of the football. If you haven't liked the video yet, please take a second. Believe it or not, it does help us out quite a bit. So be real. Which one's your favorite? Type JW, JJ, or give me an OJ. And if we get wild enough, an OJ boot might end up going down. So the Clubhouse Chronicle says loyal. Not the best in here. Remember, if you do super chat like Hellcat Q, we'll be able to put you up on the show. Old man says meh. Even though I'm not going to lie, I thought it said meth. I'm like, wow, you guys are getting real wild. CG's depth. One up, depth, solid from Caden Smith. Sarah Otto says, aight. Let's go to Hellcat Q. Let's get it. Keep making moves, Raiders. Your fave. My favorite of the 3 moves that they made today is probably actually O.J. Howard. Jordan Willis, we'll talk about him. Johnson, we'll break him down as well. I've always been a big fan of O.J. Howard. Nah, that's the only one, man. Orange juice, too. Give it to me with the pulp. I'm not a no pulp guy. What's up?
You didn't do it.
Yeah, that's up to you. I think the gloves, they fit. Everybody give Jeremy a shout out. He's back here on today's show. We got over 1,000 people tuned in. When you get a second, if you could update the live poll around this question here, that would be very, very much appreciated. Man, and some other news that if anything else happens around the NFL, we'll also go in and we'll be able to break that down as well. OJ, how old is he? I actually, in terms of age, it's a good question. I know he was a first-round pick in the 2017 draft. I don't think he's that old. OJ Howard.
My guess is 27.
He's literally, if you go on Google, it says about 28 years. I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. So he's about 28 years old. You can literally Google it. That's the first thing that came up.
That sounds like what my mom said this past weekend.
Yeah, I'm about this old. Also, for those that don't know, Jeremy went to go visit his mom for her birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't know why he was going down to Houston. I didn't really ask. Everything's all good there, though. Troy says 29, some 28s.
I appreciate everybody for reaching out, though. Sarah Otto, I see you in the chat. You were like, well wishes. I was like, I'll let her know.
Heck yeah, man. Let's go to DJ. What? Mitch, can I get a birthday shout out? Real one for life and a Raiders. Huge shout out to DJ. What? Everybody spam HBD.
Hellcat's asking what jersey you have on.
The jersey I got on is a legend, and I texted him. It finally came in. We got the Raider Ron, so I'm just going to warn you, if Ron steps into today's show, good luck, man. I'm just going to tell you, put your drinking pants on, though I did not plan on drinking today. I'll be real with you. I walked in today, did not plan on it. If If I got to do it tomorrow, we will. It's just we had one hell of a week last week, and the body was hurting this weekend. I'm not going to lie. Let's go to Search Eye. Hey, Mitch, a lot of people sleeping on Jaquan Johnson. I saw the Johnson name pop up on my screen, and I was like, John Johnson? Different safety, way, way cheaper. I mean, Jaquan, he's a special teams guy. You're not really going to put him out there on the field all too much. He might end up getting 100, 150 snaps this season in the secondary. He's a special teams player. So with the 3 signings that the Raiders made today, what is your confidence level in Josh McDaniels? I want you to scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 being you're not confident at all. 10 being there is no person I would rather have running this Raiders organization.
We have corn in the chat.
Yeah, so some corn in the chat. If you were around for our Friday show, you get the corn joke. You don't get the corn joke.
I was filled in, I think.
That's a lot.
Of how you eat the corn.
Okay. Then now Jeremy knows. Martin, get those corn cobs going. I got a 1 from Wally, negative 100 from Otis, 0 from Jagger, Wyatt Cooley, 7, Ernie Bueno, -5, D3, Sean, 1. Not a lot of confidence right now in Josh McDaniels. Only time is going to be able to figure out what this team is doing. I do think it looks like a little bit more like a rebuild than what people wanted to hear. However, we'll see what ultimately ends up going down here with this team. 1,500 people tuned in. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. Hey, Mitch, will the Raiders draft a tight end in, you're saying round 2? I do think that there's a really good chance, and I actually said on my show today that went out before this breaking news show that there's a really good sense around the Raiders that they're going to end up signing O.J. Howard, and if they decide to do that.
Great sources.
I think then what ends up happening is the Raiders do take a tight end early.
I'm not shitting you. We put out a video 4 hours ago. Mitch said, 3 just win babies. Sounds like he's signing from my sources.
And then it ends up going down. So the fit was there. When you talk about O.J. Howard, he knows Patriots people. That's just the God-honest truth. And it's also a big-time team need. But, yes, luckily this year in the draft, a lot of good tight ends. Doom, new logo drip. That's what's up, Doom. I like it.
That's pretty lit.
You looking good? Give me some Raider Nations for life down in the comments. All right, this is what's going to happen. We're going to go through the Raiders news here for the next 12, 15 minutes. And then that way my team can get a cut. We'll put it out on the channel. We're going to be breaking down the O.J. Howard news. We're going to be breaking down Jaquan Johnson. And then we're also going to be talking about Jordan Willis. All 3 of those players have signed with the Las Vegas Raiders. Not a lot of contract details are out yet. I'm going to guess all 1-year deals. All 1 year, very, very minimum. Don't do it.
I hate doing this.
You don't hate doing it.
I actually hate it.
You're the Grinch.
We can't start the cut until we get 700 likes.
You're the Grinch, and he's acting like he hates
We can't
Christmas.
start the cut unless we get 700 likes. That's what I'm told. Unless you eat corn the long way, we can't start the cut without 700 likes.
For that,
that's what I'm being told in my ear right now. Roger Goodell, he's letting me know.
I was going to say, I'd pay money to hear Brett say, do you eat corn the long way?
Oh, there's quite a few people in this office that eat corn the long way.
I don't know about that, man. Matt Solomon says Chugs eats corn the long way.
But no, for real, we need at least a couple more likes.
We need to get into this cut, man.
All right.
We got to get into the cut.
We need 1 more like. Let me know if you're that 1 like in the comment section right now. We need 1 person to like the video.
I think we got there. I think we had a few people like the video.
We did get it.
Get the 420 just so Chugs can be happy about it.
Why would I don't know. I don't get that joke.
No, you don't get it?
I don't really.
All right. Well, 16 plus 14 because you got your jersey on as well. That's 30. And you had an extra 12. You're basically at 420. So there you go. Math. It's the wild one. We got Raider Ron and Wild One, so just beware, everyone. Beware. 1,500 people watching. Let's get into the latest news.
Can we get 1 more like?
Let's get into the latest news around the Raiders here. All 3 players, I'm going to tell you how they fit with this team and what you guys should expect from them coming up this season. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. We got some breaking news to cover. The Raiders signed not one, not two, but 3 players today. Happy Monday. We've been waiting for some moves to go down. And honestly, I'm still kind of waiting for that big-time news to end up happening. But my job here is to keep you up to date, whether it's a minor move, whether it's a big-time move, every move. That's how you get that commitment to excellence. And if you love the Raiders and you have commitment to excellence, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications right now. So coming up here on today's show, I am going to tell you, out of all 3 moves, which one is my favorite? The Raiders, they go out, you bring in Jordan Willis, defensive lineman. You sign Jaquan Johnson. But then the Raiders also signed O.J. Howard, and if you watched my video earlier today, I said there's a really good chance that the Raiders end up bringing him in because of all the connections. So the report was Howard was visiting the Raiders today, and I'm going to guess that that visit ended up going, well, pretty good. So the Raiders, they traded away Darren Waller, and they still need tight end depth, even with the addition of Howard. This team still needs to be able to go out and figure out who is going to be their true number 1 tight end, because I don't think that it's Howard. He did sign a deal. I don't have the contract details yet. It is a 1-year deal, though, so it's not going to be too much money. But why exactly did the Raiders do this? He's a good blocker, run, pass blocker. Yeah, he's battled some injuries, but over the past 2 seasons, I would say has been the most healthy he's been. And just because the Raiders ended up making this move, that doesn't mean that this is going to be the only tight end move. With how deep this year's draft class is, this is screaming to me the Raiders are going to add a tight end early in the draft, at least one of their top 70 picks overall. As it stands right now, though, Howard is the top tight end on this depth chart. He's better than Jesper Horsted in terms of overall play, though Horsted's kind of sneaky in terms of his reception game. Cole Fotheringham, and then Fossmero is a free agent, and from everything that I understand, his visit with New Orleans went really well. I believe that's where he ultimately ends up signing. So right now with the Raiders, you got 3 tight ends, and you have to figure out a way to get some extra players there for this offense, because I know for a fact the tight end position is going to be one that's heavily used here. It's going to be one that the Raiders use quite a bit. The biggest reason, though, why I think Howard ended up signing with this team, he's got Patriots connections. How? He signed with the Houston Texans last season. Dave Ziegler's best friend in the NFL, Nick Caserio, general manager of the Houston Texans. So you have that one. You have that one. I think that's why O.J. Howard ultimately is a Raider. So now it's time to get your red pens out. Grade the signing of O.J. Howard. Give me an A, B, C, D, or an F. And you know what? This is the most notable move in terms of name recognition, I would say, on today's show. So we're going to make this the pinned comment. Go down, grade it right now. Howard to the Raiders. What grade? I'm going to give it a C+ grade. It's a good move for the Raiders based on what they need. It also puts you in a spot in the draft that now you don't have to take a tight end super early. You still have to take one, I think, in your first 3 or 4 picks, but you don't have to get crazy. And luckily, this year's tight end class is really freaking deep, man. I mean, Michael Mayer, you could see 2, maybe 3 guys going around one. To me, though, the only guy that's a lock is Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame. But then you got Darnell Washington. He's a sneaky guy on day 2. Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta, even Zach Kuntz, all sneaky names to be looking at on day 2. And if some of these guys, like if Kuntz ends up falling to the 4th round, I'm really going to like him a lot. He's 6'8", he's 250. Lots and lots of depth. I was going to say depth and deep all at the same one. Lots of depth at the tight end position. Now, if you love the NFL draft, I don't want you to miss out. Our Chat Sports channel, we have close to 3,000 subs on our draft-only channel. And if you're a big-time draft guy, this is where you got to go. Go to youtube.com/chatnfl. Link's going to be available for you guys in the comments and in the description of today's video. So we talked about O.J. Howard. Now it's time to move on to another name, and maybe another reason why the Raiders brought in Howard. Yeah, I mean, he played with Tom Brady. McDaniel's got a good relationship with Tom Brady, after all. Let's talk about Jordan Willis. And depending on what type of defense the Raiders want to run is where exactly Willis fits. I've seen him being reported as defensive end. I've seen him being reported as a defensive tackle. To me, on this Raiders team, he's the defensive end. He's not big enough to play DT. If you throw him in as a DT, like, you could look at this as like your Cleveland Furl replacement. He might be able to play outside. He might be able to play inside. But one of the biggest reasons why I'll say that he had the most success with San Francisco is because, the San Francisco 49ers defense was pretty damn good last season. 12 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. Only has started 2 games in his entire career, but now you're with this Raiders defensive group, and he's probably the 4th best guy on this list behind Crosby, Chandler Jones, Malcolm Kuntz. I know a lot of people were asking, all right, well, what about a Deshaun Bauer? You could honestly look at Jordan Willis and Deshaun Bauer in a very similar light. Bauer, though, is a free agent. Over the past 4 seasons for Willis, in 2022, played in 9 games. In 2021, 10 games, 15 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks, plus a forced fumble. In 2020, 2.5 sacks. In 2019, he has experience playing with the San Francisco 49ers, a defense that has been a rather successful defense, but it's that 6'4", 270, long arms, kind of lanky guy who can play multiple positions, which is why I believe is one of the biggest reasons why the Raiders decided to end up bringing him in. And if you were to ask me, Mitch, well, what was your grade B, or what would be a reaction to the Raiders adding Willis? I do think it's a really good question. To me, this is more of just a depth move. You need help on that defensive line. I still think that the Raiders need to address their defensive line a lot better. This organization has gone rather cheap compared to some of the other NFL teams, and some people are like, well, they want to go cheap. When you're 6-11 to me, and you had the amount of money that the Raiders do, I wanted to see a little bit more urgency. But with all the moves that they have made so far in free agency, either they're being drastically cheap, or this is a true rebuild. And sometimes hearing a rebuild hurts to hear that. But at the end of the day, if you want to build in the draft like this Raiders team wants to, I think that's ultimately where they want to go. All right, y'all. So what is your one-word reaction to the Raiders signing Jordan Willis? My one word is depth. That's me being as nice to you as I can. It's a depth move. I promised myself that I would be a happier individual, that I would talk better, I guess, about a lot of these Raiders moves and always look at it glass half full. That's what I'm really trying to do with y'all. This move is simply depth. So we talked about O.J. Howard. We talked about Jordan Willis. The Raiders, though, they also went out and they signed a safety, and his name is Jaquan Johnson. I'll admit, when I saw Raiders sign, I just saw Jay Johnson, my heart stopped. I was like, here we go. We're getting John Johnson. Well, unfortunately, you didn't get John Johnson, and I also think that they ended up bringing in the wrong Bills safety as well, Jaquan. But let's not get it twisted here. This is another depth move. He's probably the 4th or 5th best safety you got on the roster. It's a 1-year deal. He has spent the last 4 seasons with the Buffalo Bills, so maybe McDaniels and Ziegler, they saw him a lot in the AFC East. But the thing that he is going to be able to do for this team, which is obviously very important. A lot of times you got to have a great offense, you got to have a great defense. There's no secrets there. But if you want to take that next step and you want to be that Super Bowl caliber team, you got to win in all 3 phases. Jaquan Johnson is actually a really, really good special teams player. He's going to be somebody who you can count on in those situations where the Raiders, they don't have Matt Collins this season. Matt Collins was their top gunner. He's now with the Atlanta Falcons. So, yes, he's a worrisome dude to have on the field in defensive situations. But in terms of special teams, he's a good special teams guy, and that's why he's going to end up making this team. Think of him as almost like, I'm going to say like a lesser version of Roderick Teamer. That's kind of the way I would look at it. If you want to be able to interact with me on Twitter and on Instagram, it's at Mitchell Renz 365. My plan today was to go live on Locals, but depending on how crazy this show gets, I mean, we got 2,100 people watching live. Locals, I don't know, man. I've been trying to get to you guys as much as I can, but these YouTube shows have been getting crazy. So the 3 moves that the Raiders made today. What's best move? What's your favorite one out of them all? Is it the O.J. Howard move? Is it the Jaquan Johnson move? Or is it the Jordan Willis move? For me personally, the way that I would rank them, it would be O.J. Howard is number 1. That's more based on the name value. Number 2 is Jaquan Johnson because of the value that he's going to be able to provide in special teams. And then I would say it's Jordan Willis. Las Vegas still needs to really upgrade on that defensive side of the football because I would say the only two positions that this team has upgraded at this entire offseason has been wide receiver, room's gotten better, and then I'd also say your strong safety position has gotten better. Besides that, not a lot of great upgrades. You saved a lot of money moving from Jimmy G, or moving from Derek Carr to Jimmy G. The nation still needs some moves that gives us some confidence going into next season. All right, y'all, let's get into some super chats here. Remember, you send in a super chat. We're going to put you up on screen. If CJ at 3, trade up for the 3rd and next year first, I mean, it's going to cost you a lot more than that. I mean, if you want to trade up for CJ Stroud at 3, you're going to give up this year's first, you're going to give up next year's first, and you're probably also going to have to give up at least a 3rd-round pick. I do think Stroud ends up going in one of the top 2, though we've seen teams fall in love with crazy athletic quarterbacks before. And to me, if Anthony Richardson's getting comped to Cam Newton and you're Carolina, I mean, the greatest quarterback in Carolina Panthers history is Cam Newton, so do you think you could win with another guy? Something like that. Let's go to OG. What up, OG? Would you rather have traded for Mac Jones? No. I would not have rather. Oh, excuse me. Raiders! I don't want Mac Jones. If you were to ask me Jimmy Garoppolo or Mac Jones, if you're basing it on price and price alone, then yeah, Mac Jones is a cheaper quarterback than Jimmy G. But the way that this Raiders team is convincing me that they're trying to build is through the draft. So I'm good on Jones. I didn't really want Jimmy Garoppolo either, which y'all already know that. But you got to hope that he's able to stay healthy, Jimmy G. My 2 quarterbacks I did not want were Mac Jones and Garoppolo. To me, there were a lot of other routes that this team could have gone where they could have saved some money and they could have done some other things here. Wow, what is this? Sounds like Roger Goodell is getting a contract extension.
Deservedly so.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. All right, how about this prediction? Who's going to be the next free agent that the Raiders go out and get? If anybody would have guessed Jordan Willis, Jaquan Johnson, or O.J. Howard last week, I'd seriously been asking you for what are the lotto numbers. That would be 100% something I would get. Somebody said Randy Moss. I can guarantee you this ain't Randy Moss. Who's it going to be? Bobby Wagner from Emil. F. Roger Goodell. Hey, if you want to get those F. Goodells in the chat, I'm not going to be against it. A lot of boos coming in now.
F. Goodell. F. Goodell.
Roger Goodell. Yeah. Uncle Rico. John Brown.
I do have to say,
yikes.
Since the season has ended,
yeah,
I haven't seen him in our chat as much. Do you think he just comes for the regular season? For watch parties, he's always busting up our chat.
Yeah. No, maybe he's just taking it off. What if Roger Goodell is the commissioner that goes on YouTube and like looks for streams?
I wouldn't doubt it.
And then he makes you want to buy sexy time in your area YouTube videos. I don't know, man.
He's like, boomy.
Seeing a lot of Bobby Wagners, and that seems to be like the top. Van Ginkel from someone saying that's going to be the next signing for the Raiders.
Hard to blaze. Goodell definitely 100% fact eats corn the long way.
Yeah, Heart of Blaze has got the right idea there. Which way do you eat corn? Short way or long way? You look like a short way guy. Is there butter involved? That's the next question, right?
Oh, I know. I know you with Alex. Y'all lather it in that mayo and get some crema.
Some crema, some tahine, or the Valentina. Valentina can get it.
Gotta squeeze a lime on there.
Oh, dude, I don't. Honestly, she puts lime on her lime.
Dude, I do have to say, maybe a bold take. Whenever I went to Mexico,
okay.
When me and Danny went on our vacation last year,
yep.
Every time they gave me water or iced tea, always with a lime, not a lemon. I think I'm converted more to a lime with water guy than a lemon. I think lime with water or tea is better than lemon.
It's definitely. I think it's very refreshing. But I still like lemon more than lime.
I think
and
I've been
water.
converted. I think I'm more of a lime guy with water than lemon.
Hey, fair enough. To each their own. To each their own. All right, y'all. We got 2,000 people tuned in right now.
Right. No matter what, you got to lube the corn. You can't have dry corn.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Especially if you're eating it the long way.
Oh, dude.
If you try to eat corn the long way, non-lubed.
Now I don't know if we're talking about butter or actual lube on your corn. Either I don't know what to think. Jonesy's taking some beef jerky from you. Yeah, you can have some.
You didn't even ask.
I know, it's fine. All right, guys, what's better, lemon or lime? Throw it down in the comments. Remember, you're watching the Raiders Report. Anytime big-time Raiders news happens, we break it down for you guys, and whether it's around a minor move, a big-time move, we got you covered here. And depending on how long you guys want me to stay live, we can keep this thing going. I think all we're going to need is some more questions to flow in here
I
and
was about to say, I think
some reactions.
I think it might be up to, once we see them in the chat, the locals members, what they want.
That's true, because I did plan on going live on locals. So if we get a few guys from locals here, we'll know.
If anything, we're here. We'll chill out for like 30 more minutes, and then
we'll head out. Unless you guys want me to stay live, it's up to you. We got Elote from Scarecrow.
Yeah. Let me know in the comments.
I'm Punchy.
Let me know in the comments, are you lemon or lime in your water? Which are you going?
O.J. Howard also is the best move today by 65%. Then it's Jaquan Johnson, and then it's Jordan Willis.
Oh, do you have? We actually had a video go out this morning. If you have the link to it, to just put it in the chat. We had a video go out this morning. Mitch broke down more of O.J. Howard, more about his fit with the team. I know we kind of just broke down his signing. But earlier today, about 5 hours ago, Mitch broke down O.J. Howard in a video.
There you go.
He gave it 3 Chucky heads.
There was a report that he was going to visit today, and then I talked to a few people / connected some dots, and I said, it's likely O.J. Howard's going to sign either today or tomorrow.
This was more of the signing him after the fact. That was kind of more of a breaking down him and what he could bring to the team.
Oh, dude. Margaritas, lime.
Oh, I mean, of course.
Pasta, lime or lemon?
On pasta? Ooh. I don't know if I've ever had a lime pasta.
I have, but it
Really?
was like a chicken.
Oh, you know what? I have. It depends on the food. Asian food, lime.
Oh, yeah.
Italian food, lemon.
Okay, that's fair.
I've never had a lime Italian pasta. I do love pad thai, and they always give you a lime with that on top.
Okay.
Elite. Gustavo, I see Withers. Oh, go ahead.
No, you got it.
Your show. It's yours.
You got it.
No, you got it.
I'm leaving. You got it.
All right, cool.
All right. I see Witherspoon at 7 and Hooker in the second or third. I think no matter what, the Raiders are going to be looking at some cornerbacks, but the more and more people that I start talking to, the more likely that I actually think that the Raiders trade back. Like, the only way is the quarterback that the Raiders freaking love in the draft. If he is somehow, and I mean somehow, on the board at 3, that's when you could see the Raiders get aggressive. I think that QB is C.J. Stroud, and I don't think that that guy's on the board at number 3. So with the Raiders here, to me, they seem to be more in a primetime position to trade back from 7. They have a big-time need at corner, and I don't really know how much money that they're going to invest at being able to get a corner because, yeah, you got Nate Hobbs, but I think that they want to be able to play him in at the slot. And then if you have 2 outside corners, you need to be able to replace Rock Ya-Sin. So I like Witherspoon. We've talked about Witherspoon a lot. Also, Seeps was very high on Witherspoon as well.
If you could trade back to, like, 11, 12, 13, like early, like maybe like 4 or 5 picks back and still get Witherspoon, huge win.
Well, to me, like, I like Christian Gonzalez the most. Like, that's my number 1 corner. And then there's Joey Porter Jr. and there's Devin Witherspoon.
With the Lions signing C.J. Gardner-Johnson, if they bring in Christian Gonzalez, that team is early picks. They might be my favorite to win that division. Especially if Rodgers is gone. Bears, they've added a ton of pieces. I don't know about them. Vikings.
Detroit's sneaky.
Yeah, Vikings have been up the past couple of years, but, they've had a couple early playoff exits. So I don't know if they can, still have that motivation to go back up to the top again.
It's still hard for me, though, to trust Jared Goff.
I mean, he made it to a Super Bowl.
I know, but that was a long time ago.
But it was also with a really good team around him. That looks like what they're building in Detroit.
Hey, I think it's hard to argue with what they are building in Detroit right now, and they're trying to take advantage of it. But I'm saying, like, if Chris Gonzalez is at 7, or you trade back, you ensure that you're going to get up, a Joey Porter or a Witherspoon in that top 15, and then what you end up doing is you get an extra second, maybe a third-round pick. Like, as much as I like Gonzalez, I'll take Witherspoon and that extra pick in the second or third round compared to.
And as hard as it is, I actually have to applaud the Lions, even though they've been kind of the laughingstock of the league up and down for the past 20 years. I do have to applaud them for not firing Dan Campbell after the first year and it didn't work out. Because so many teams this past decade have fired coaches after the first season, and it just it's a cycle of you're never going to find that guy if he doesn't have the time.
Hey, well, you're talking to the right team right now, I'll tell you that.
I mean,
we'll see.
That's why it's kind of like I'm glad the Texans finally signed DeMeco Ryans, but that's why everybody hated the Texans because, they didn't even give their guys a shot. David Culley, even though I didn't think that was the right signing for them.
Correct.
Got 1 year. Lovie Smith, 1 year. What are you supposed to do with a shitty team in 1 year?
I could not agree with you more, man. Let's go to Bill. Where are you from? Want to be hopeful, but let's be honest. We aren't signing John Johnson or Wagner. Let's look into the practice squad in New England. That's who we will sign.
Has Isaiah Wynn signed yet?
Nope.
Well, I mean, Illuminor signed, so I'm guessing that kind of takes you out of the contention for that.
Jermaine Illuminor is your right tackle.
Yeah.
He's your locked and loaded right tackle. They also have Justin Murray. I don't know if you remember the trade.
You could kick in Wynn to guard if you wanted to. But.
I just don't. I think right now when you look at what the Raiders have, remember they also made that trade last year for Justin Herron, who is from New England. He got injured. He's a tackle. Brandon Parker's a tackle. Like, they have tackles. I think the player that they end up kicking into a guard spot is actually Thayer Munford. Like, Thayer Munford to me is the name where when I first scouted him, I had him as a guard. And then I saw him that they were working him at a tackle. I'm like, all right, can he be a tackle? He's going to be a hard player to figure out.
Yeah.
And with all the moves that they've made at tackle already this offseason, he could be a guy to look at potentially, kicking back in.
Gustavo, that actually happened this morning. Sean Murphy-Bunting signed with the Titans.
Correct.
Another corner.
That was pretty early.
Which it's actually weird because a couple of years ago, he was kind of considered a really good cornerback and then had an off year.
Sometimes that's all
injured.
it takes. You have one bad year. You get injured, recency bias. If Sean Murphy-Bunting can be healthy, that's going to be a very underrated signing for Tennessee.
Yeah.
All right, Academy. What up, man? Or Acadamonkey.
Oh, that's a great name. Raymond Sanchez said offensive line, new nickname. What is it?
What is it?
Wait, I just saw it. Never mind. Go ahead. You go ahead. I lost it. I had it in the
Throw
chat.
Throw tomatoes at Chugs.
I had it in the chat and I
Chugs
lost it.
eats his corn with tomatoes on it. Hey, guys, I eat my corn popped. Raiders.
Butter or caramel?
Ooh, I'm team caramel corn over butter popcorn. Alex popcorn, it's hot sauce, lime, North Suiza,
Wait, what?
North Suiza.
I've never had that.
Ooh, it's good.
What's North Suiza?
It's like a chicken. I kind of explained it to you
Is
the
that
one day.
What you were saying, like the ramen seasoning?
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. North Suiza. I don't know, man. I say it sometimes because I feel like it's the best thing that I can say in Spanish, and I don't even know if it's Spanish. Silva's fit. Richardson over Stroud. We seen the NFL Combine. Yeah, Richardson's the better athlete than C.J. Stroud, but Anthony Richardson, from throwing the football standpoint, he's not even top 5. Like, he might not even be top 7 or 8. You're just betting on the athletic traits. So, Anthony Richardson throwing a football, it's not good right now. He's got the arm strength, but being able to dissect a defense, being able to make the accurate read, being able to get your feet set, I mean, it's just... No, to me, it's not even a consideration. But I had there was one point where I fell asleep this weekend, and the Raiders report was playing in the background. Because if I'm going to take a nap, I'll just put the show on, and Chuck and I will just kind of fall asleep. I woke up, and it was the giant syringe moment, and I was like, this just looks sus, as sus as could be. No better way to put it.
Sarah Otto just sent me that, by the way.
Oh, really? Sarah, actually, I just put all the information in to send you the fireball sign. So you should be getting that either next week or the week after that. Speaking of Fireball, this one rolling in from Cast Joey. I really believe Levis and Richardson will be there at 7. I think we pass on both. If we roll the dice on one, it'll be Levis. I'm hoping Carter is there. If not, take a top linebacker or a cornerback. I think Joey Porter is legit.
He's been falling.
Joey Porter or?
Joey Porter.
See,
he's been falling down draft boards.
I think he's falling down draft boards more because of how deep this cornerback class is. Like, you know that you're going to get a legit corner, or at least you can get a legit corner. There's probably 4 or 5 guys going to go in the first round.
Yeah.
Like, Keely Ringo is the one that's up in the air to me. Deonta Banks, though, the combine he had, that hurt Witherspoon and Porter.
Well, I was going to say, a lot of people have now flipped Deonta Banks and Joey Porter, having Banks over Porter.
I mean, Banks to me is an elite athlete. Porter, though, he might still have the higher upside. His arms are so long. Like, his length is what NFL teams look at to be able to contend with those big-time receivers, to be able to go up against somebody. So, Cass, appreciate the super chat, my guy. Every 20 we get.
We're both taking shots.
Yeah, you already took one, didn't you? I'll get a little bit seasoning here. Hang on.
Since Cash Joey was asking us about different positions in the draft, I thought this was kind of a natural kind of seg.
I gotcha.
What position is the biggest need for the Raiders right now? They just signed a tight end. They just signed a defensive lineman. They just signed a special teamer.
It's still he's a safety. He's a defensive tackle. I mean, the biggest need is still defensive tackle. Like, the Raiders have yet to address the DT spot this entire offseason, which is kind of frustrating. And
they re-signed Tillery.
They have yet to address the defensive tackle spot this offseason. I mean,
you should be fine.
Dude, it's just, I don't know what their plan is. Like, maybe if you can get a guy like a Kalijah Cansey in the draft, but if they're really hoping on Matthew Butler and Neil Farrell Jr. to take that next step, you just didn't see nearly enough from both of those guys last offseason to be able to be like, all right, like, we're going to be confident with them.
Do you think both of them make it through training camp?
Yeah, they're on the team. They're there. They're
if they're healthy scratches last season.
I think that they're going to end up making it. Like, you to move on from a player, from the 2 defensive tackles that you drafted, 2 out of 6, that would be shocking to me. Like, they still might just be depth
I wouldn't be
pieces.
shocked if one of them didn't make the team, especially if you go heavy DT in the draft.
I mean, again, from knowing what I know right now, no. If their first 2 or 3 picks are DTs, I'd be like, yeah, these guys are in really big trouble. To me, though, it's still a defensive tackle. You still need to be able to go out and find a cornerback, and I still think tight end's a pretty big need right now.
Especially where they're drafted, because, you look at – I feel like if you draft somebody rounds 1 through 3, you're guaranteed 2 seasons, unless you really just crap the bed. You're guaranteed 2 seasons on the roster. Anything past that, I think you're kind of guaranteed 1.
Okay.
And then past that, you're like,
if they're just disasters during training camp.
I was gonna say, like, if the Raiders sign a couple guys to the practice squad or sign people throughout training camp, they outplay them, I don't think they'll have any qualms, especially a McDaniel Ziegler, who have shown, Waller out the door, that they're not willing to cut bait with guys who don't either they don't think are good or they don't think are good for the team.
I'm curious why you used the word qualms. Qualms. You got trivia on your mind? I've never heard you say qualms, and I think, isn't Petey's team or something qualms? I don't know.
One of the teams
in the trivia league.
In the trivia league is Lick My Qualls.
Qualls. Yeah, same thing. All right, let's go to Robert. Robert, thanks for your donation.
That's
here
a dope
on
picture.
The Raiders Report. Is that Madden?
It's Madden, like, looking over the stadium.
Oh, okay.
It's like Mufasa.
Mufasa?
He's like it looks like he's a cloud. And he's like looking over the stadium.
Somebody wants Lynn Bowden. Or are you saying Lynn Bowden's an example? Lynn Bowden was bad, man. Let's go to Cali Raider. Salute Chugs and Mitch. So what's the surprise quarterback or pick you think we pick up in the draft as reported?
I think Mitch said it earlier, and like I said, Mitch broke down O.J. Howard earlier in a video before the breaking news today. That's why you watch, because Mitch, he's got the scoops. And I'm not talking about the Frito-Lays.
Panda.
Or Panda. That's tough.
To me, there was a report that came out. I don't remember what day it was exactly. Honestly, last week's kind of a blur. So is this weekend. And it was that apparently the Raiders, if they did take a quarterback, it wouldn't be a quarterback that anybody thinks it would be. So it would be a surprising pick.
Fresno State quarterback in the second round. Never happened.
I mean, the quarterback that scares me, like that comes to my mind, is Hendon Hooker, because I know they like Hendon Hooker. To me, though, you can't take Hooker anything earlier than 38. I get it if he was 100% healthy, but if the Raiders took Hendon Hooker in the 7th, I would have an absolute meltdown.
I think a surprise pick, in what I was mentioning the video earlier, is you saying trade back and possibly get a tight end in the late first.
If you can trade back, which I think helps out this Raiders team. Again, I'm just looking at what free agency has told me, and right now the Raiders are not a team that is trying to build in free agency. They're not. So if I know that they're not trying to build in free agency, then I am going to look at the draft. And how can I add more picks? Because this Raiders team needs to be able to add some players that you can start. I mean, when you think about the fact that they have only added Jakobi Meyers as a starter and Marcus Epps as a starter, and then Jimmy Garoppolo, who's taken over for Derek Carr. Marcus Epps is an upgrade over Duron Harmon. Jakobi
Meyers. So?
Yeah, I do. Deep down, I do. Now, there's still two different types of safeties.
Yeah.
I think Epps is going to be asked to do a lot more, where Epps can tackle. Harmon's not a tackler.
I think they're also thinking Merrick's going to take the next step this year.
You're hoping. Then wide receiver, your wide receiver room has gotten better. Like Devontae Adams, Jakobi Meyers, Hunter Renfrow is better than Matt Collins, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow. The problem is you've downgraded that tight end drastically with no Darren Waller.
But, I mean, have you if your tight end's not on the field?
That's a different story. If Waller's on the field, you've downgraded. I'm saying in the offseason, you're looking at Waller, you're thinking, all right, we're going to have him. But if he's obviously not on the field, sure, totally different conversation.
Elite name right here, Mitch.
What is it?
Aggressive Master Raider.
Wow. It's my question is, did you make your name with your right or your left hand when you type? Or did you use both?
I heard if you sit on your hand and then type it, it feels like somebody else is typing your name.
Wow. If you sit on your hand and send in a super chat, your wife can't get mad at you because it's like someone else sent in the super chat.
Exactly.
Now I get it. All right. Patrick sucks. Skipped my super. Missed you, Jugs.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I felt the love. I felt the love.
There were a few people who said that their supers didn't get shown. And I'll say this. We showed every single super chat on that show on Friday. I don't know if YouTube had a glitch. We had one guy saying, "Hey, I sent in a super." It never showed on our end. So
there was that one time that
it's happened before.
I forgot who it was. They got a refund.
Check your credit card. If you got charged, you should get a refund, because our system, the way that it works, when the super chat comes in, I can see every single one on my screen, and so can Chugs. But I'll make sure to tell Patrick he eats corn the long way. Let's go to Michael.
We see it when you're sleeping, and we know when you're awake. We know when you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake.
What's this from?
Huh? Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
Michael Garcia.
Do you
No, go ahead.
Do you still want Skoronski after the
Jermaine signing?
Jermaine Illuminor signing. I think it just comes down to what the Raiders do at center. And you're like, wait a minute, totally different positions. Right now, the Raiders' starting offensive line would be Colt Miller at left tackle. I believe it would be Nutain Moody at left guard, Andre James at center, Dylan Parham at right guard, Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle. If your plan is to keep Andre James, then realistically, you don't need to take an offensive lineman at number 7. If your plan is to move on from Andre James, kick Dylan Parham in at center, well, now the whole you need an offensive guard conversation, it pokes its head back out. So I still don't think that that's where the Raiders go. I do really love Skoronski. I think he is going to be a hell of an offensive lineman. But the fact that the Raiders have not addressed their defense screams to me like, hey, y'all need to be able to address your defense in the draft. Dean, I'm taking Jalen Carter at 7. You need defense. There's going to be some people who look at the tape that he had at Georgia and they're like, this is the best player in the draft. They're going to end up taking him. But my spin on this is this. from the moment of Georgia's last game in the national championship game. He basically got himself into big-time trouble and put on close to 10 pounds. And some of y'all are like, 10 pounds. When you're an NFL athlete, 10 pounds in 2.5 months, that's worrisome. So to me, I'm like, all right, he's got to be able to make smart decisions, and he's making costly decisions.
To me, it's not even the weight. It's the fact that we saw the video. He couldn't finish his workout.
Yeah.
If you're not able to finish a workout, how are you supposed to make a tackle in the fourth quarter?
I mean, the biggest concern outside of the off-the-field stuff around him was his conditioning. So
that's what I'm saying.
He already showed me that he took his eye off the ball and that he's unmotivated.
If you're taking,
that's worrisome.
I wouldn't take him in the top 10 now. Because if you're taking somebody top 10, you're expecting him to be an instant impact player. And somebody whose conditioning doesn't allow them to be on the field in the fourth quarter is not that instant impact player in my mind.
It's the off-the-field stuff. And I think because the off-the-field stuff and right now he's proving to a lot of NFL teams that he doesn't love football. I mean, you can say what you want. I want a guy who has improved from his last college game till now. And he has gotten drastically worse.
And the 10 pounds of weight, like I said, that's not the most worrisome part. And it could be water weight, it could be him putting
he was out of shape. Watch the video. His pro day at Georgia is bad. Like it's not good. Like it's not somebody that goes in the first round. That's how bad it was.
And for that to happen at your pro day, at pro days is way different than the combine. They almost tailor it to make you look better because schools want their guys to get drafted higher.
Correct.
So they tailor the drills, they tailor everything to the guys for the pro day to be like, hey, we want to showcase your best attributes, and your best abilities.
Yep.
Because we want higher draft picks. So that means better recruiting classes later.
Correct.
The fact that happened at his pro day, it's probably even more worrying than if it happened at the combine.
I agree. I mean, if you're Georgia, you're like, hey, we had 6 guys drafted in round 1 last season. Come play with us.
Yeah.
Like that's why they make the pro day easier, which is why a lot of times teams, they don't look at pro day numbers. They'll watch the workout, but if you look at some of the numbers, they're usually a little bit off.
I know. I've heard of a couple people running 4.2s at pro days.
Yeah, 4.2 at the pro day, but he ran a 4.5 at the combine. The Nar Shredder. I'm with Chugs on the patience plan. Gotta wait till mid-season to panic.
8.
After all, part of the Patriots way is loading up on small dollar role players.
I made a promise. We're not freaking out till week 8.
I mean, I get the idea of loading up on small dollar role players. It's worked in the past with, and I mean only with, Tom Brady. It hasn't worked.
Hold on one second. Let me get you something.
With anybody else. Oh, I see it. I mean, New England without Tom Brady, the Patriot way, hasn't even really worked with Belichick. Since Josh McDaniels has gone to other places. What? Yes. McDaniels, he's tried to do the Patriot way and other spots that he's been at. It didn't work either. So, to me, if you want to do this, let's take cheap players everywhere. You need to have a elite quarterback. The Raiders do not have an elite quarterback. I know a lot of people want to say, hey, we're going to put our faith in this team, our organization, and I hope that it works out. I really do. However, though, it is not proven to me that it has worked outside of having Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, whether y'all like to admit that or not. Daniel says, can't wait for week 8. I don't blame you. All the way from Jacksonville. Love you guys. Bang! How about this? Shout out your city right now. Robert is in Jacksonville. My question is, where are y'all watching from? Who? That's gross. And if any other big-time NFL news ends up going down, we'll cover it. I don't know. I want something else. Yeah, it was 3 signings. Just still nothing that I'm like.
I'm just itching. I'm just itching for something.
I want a big move. Like the biggest moves that the Raiders have made, Jimmy Garoppolo, wasn't crazy about it.
Yeah.
Jacoby Myers is a good move. It's questionable to me, though, right, in terms of why they did it. I would have rather spent that money on the defense, not on a receiver. Now that you traded Darren Waller, it makes sense. Then you traded away Waller. That wasn't the most exciting move for me personally because didn't love it. And then, I don't know if I said Marcus Epps yet. That's your best defensive move that you've made so far, signing Marcus Epps. No disrespect to Epps. That can't be your top free agency move when you're top 3 in the NFL in dollars.
Straight up.
All right, we got some cities here. Anaheim from Sergio. Huge shout out to Sergio. Friday's MVP. The MVP, he won the Lord Mitchell Renz plaque. Going to be sending that out to you very soon, good sir. Kansas City, Peyton. I got the original city, Oakland, from D. Dixon. Shout out to Oaktown. Corona, California, from L Raider 88. Mando, my girl gets mad when I send in supers. So here's a super chat. Raider Nation for life. Mando, you got to be careful, man. I'm not trying to put anybody in the doghouse. Perfect world, you just watch the show with your girl. There's a few couples that watch this show together.
We have some power couples.
We do. Sean and I believe it was Veronica last week. I know it was Sean. Sean was a big heavy hitter. Patrick B and Savannah Jean. Those are that's the GOAT couple.
Sarah Otto.
Sarah Otto, her husband, they're always watching as well. Huge shout out to Sarah. But
a couple of people who share accounts.
Oh, there's a lot of people that share accounts. I've had a few people that are like, yeah, just so you know, this is like, I have one Instagram account. It's the guy's wife, and he always messages me stuff, and I'm always like,
you're gonna get me in trouble.
Well, you're gonna get me in trouble, and then I'm thinking it's just his wife is like in the background. She's actually the one talking to me, but she's just saying, oh, I'm a man. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna get in trouble somehow.
#1, and it's not even close.
That's a hell of a name. What does it cost the team if they cut any of these off-season signings? I mean, it usually just comes down to the logistics of the contract. And Jimmy Garoppolo, like, you're not going to be able to move on from him. Jordan Willis, you're probably have the ability to move on from him after training camp and that kind of stuff. Like, these guys, they don't get guaranteed contracts. They'll probably get a workout bonus. They'll get some small signing bonus potentially. But teams, when it comes to $250,000, $300,000, I mean, they're going to wipe their butts with that. So
same.
Oh,
Raider
yeah?
salute. What's up, Mitch and Chugs? Happy Monday. What free agents are available still that we can sign? Raiders. Oh, Sergio.
What up, Serge? If you're looking at some names, the biggest problem with this, and it's funny because I started to make a list. Which let me get my list pulled up here.
Checked it twice.
Well, I made a list for locals today because I was like, do I do a mock draft on locals today, or do I don't know, end up going with free agency, all this kind of good stuff. All right, so in terms of how about what position first off? Because if you're looking for interior offensive lineman, I'd say it's Connor McGovern. Though Ethan Posick, I think he's already gotten signed.
He has.
Dalton Reisner is probably a name to keep in mind. And then from an edge standpoint, I would say Jadeveon Clowney, Rasheem Green, Dante Fowler. I don't love these names, by the way. Melvin Ingram's probably a name that I would like. From an inside defensive line tackle spot, Matt Iondas, Poona Ford.
Great name.
Shelby Harris, Quentin Jefferson. Like, these are cornerback is Marcus Peters, Shaq Griffin. Troy Hill, Trey Flowers, Rocky Sin. Those are just some of the top names that I'm keeping off my mind right now. But
I have a feeling like Rocky Sin's coming back.
Dude, I don't know. Rock wants to get paid, and I know the Raiders. I know Rocky Sin's a really good player. Like, honest to God, when he's healthy, he is actually a very, very good player. He just can't stay healthy. Mm-hmm. Like, just kind of like Raider fans are worried about Jimmy Garoppolo.
Did Unique ever get signed?
No, he's still a free agent. Unique Gakwe, he's not coming back.
Bring back Unique and Rocky Sin, the whole trade?
They're not going to bring. NFL teams, especially the Raiders, hate how bad of a run stopper Gakwe is. Like, you might as well not even have him out there in run stopping situations. He's a good pass rusher.
Yeah.
But the reason why the Raiders traded him away is because he can't stop the run. Robert, anyone else convinced Al sold his for 83 Super Bowl? I think maybe sold his soul? Yeah, for 83 Super Bowl, and since
the devil went down.
Then we've been cursed. I'm convinced I missed Justin Fargas.
Great song. Have you ever heard? The Devil Went Down to Georgia?
Yeah, I used to play it on Guitar Hero.
Great song.
I used to play it on Guitar Hero. However, I haven't heard it in a long time.
Medium, hard, or like extreme?
I was expert. I actually was really good at Guitar Hero.
Really? I could only do hard.
That figures for you. Did you play the guitar the long way? You did, didn't you?
Dude, what got me was...
Jack could never get the orange key.
I didn't have a strong pinky.
Oh, yeah. He's not there, so it's not nearly as good of a joke. No, I would say I was able to play 50% of the songs on expert, and then I would say like 95% on hard.
Jack couldn't reach the blue.
Oh, dude. Jack played with the controller. I was also really good with the controller as well.
You could play with the controller?
Oh, dude. So on PS, my cousin had it for PS2 or PS3. I don't remember at this point. But, yeah, you could play on the controller. It's actually easier. Because,
of course.
It's so much easier. But now, my one buddy who actually plays guitar, what was, like, the hardest song Through the Fire and Flames, I think is what it was called, or something like that, on expert? If you get a chance, he could do it, and he was the guy that would like upload videos to YouTube, 100% expert, and it's like the song that just looks like Skittles just spilled on your desk. Dude, he's like, it's craziness.
I also love it because whenever you play on Guitar Hero on expert and it's like that hard of a song, you don't even hear the song. All you hear is.
Yeah, no, it's. I'll tell you what though, carpal tunnel, got that a few times, but I'm convinced I was able to date out of my league in middle school and high school because I played Guitar Hero.
Michael Yukon Potato.
Don't forget, Mac Clown took Tebow after he dumped key players with the Donkeys. I mean, you don't got to tell me that. I made a video, months ago saying Raiders should not trust McDaniels to be able to build it up because sometimes you got to learn from your past. Sometimes you got to learn from the past. And Tebow was an experimental quarterback. And I hope that the Raiders don't take another experimental quarterback in round one. This one's rolling in from John Borelli. We actually signed someone. We signed a few people. Also,
we actually signed somebody else here on the Raiders Report.
We did. Not only did I get my Raider on, but John!
Hey! Everybody spam John! Everybody spam John! Let's go!
Got the Borelli. I'll probably wear this tomorrow, John, just for you. I got the Raider Ron one in today, and I finally got my John Borelli jersey, which I'm happy because we told Nike, by the way, who made our Buddy Bear jersey, made them all. We looked at the orders. The Buddy Bear jersey has always just had 1-1. These were like, you better not put any numbers on the shoulders because the Raiders have never had numbers on their shoulders. But, yeah, we finally got number 22, the John Borelli. I'm adding to the collection here on the Raiders Report. So, John, I'll wear that tomorrow for you, my guy. Wanted to wear Raider Ron today. I figured since you had the black one on it, we would team up.
Raiders explosion. Ringo will be the steal of the draft, and should the Raiders trade their 7th pick to the Eagles for their 2 firsts and 3rd, that is like completely off the trade value chart.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately,
2 firsts and a 3rd.
Yeah, that's where do the Eagles pick though? They pick
10.
at 10 and
30.
Yeah, no. If I was Philadelphia, I would never do that.
To move up 3 spots?
To me, Philly would have to want to trade up for a QB.
Yes.
And they have Mariota, they have Jalen Hurts, so that's not going to happen.
2 starting caliber QBs.
Yeah, teams, for the Raiders to trade back, teams are usually trading back. If the Raiders initiate it, they're not going to get nearly as much. If a team wants to hop up to number 7 and jump the Atlanta Falcons, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Luckily, the Raiders are ahead of Atlanta, so if the Raiders tell teams, hey, we're not taking a QB, then that's a scenario where there could be a team that's like, all right, we do want a QB. We have to jump Atlanta. We're going to go up there and take a guy. We'll see, though.
Uncle Lad OD, I understand the thought, but you can't pass on talent like Jalen Carter at number 7 if he's still available with Mad Max and Jones in that D-line group. I think you can if you can trade back and get more and get Cansey.
I mean, if you were telling me right now, the Raiders, they're able to trade back, right? And they're able to trade back far enough where you still get, if you were able to get like Kalijah Cansey and a Deonta Banks, I would actually take that combination over just Jalen Carter. What's the hardest part about Carter is I'm a person who, I'm a big watch the tape. Don't just fall in love in the NFL Combine. Don't fall in love with what they did at their pro day. Turn on the tape and watch. When you watch Jalen Carter play, he's the best defensive tackle. The reason why he was the #1 player on my big board was because the tape don't lie. But what scares me is, look at Jamarcus Russell, and this is what I've said before. I get their different positions, but Jamarcus Russell, he had talent. Like, he had the ability. He got paid, he got fat, he got lazy. What have we seen from Jalen Carter since the national championship game at Georgia? To me, it looks like he's gotten fat, he's gotten lazy, and what happens? He gets paid, he's like, I'm good. And that's it. There's off-the-field concerns. There's a lot of things, and McDaniels even said it himself. They're not going to take a risk at number 7. They want to make sure that they do not miss in the first round. Like, that player is going to be a staple guy on their team. And when you look at everything that they're trying to build in terms of good locker room guys, Carter does not give me the vibe right now that he is a good locker room guy. For that reason, there's going to be teams that don't even have Carter on their board. They're like, we're not drafting him. The Raiders could be a team that could be them.
Imagine you go in for a job interview. You're you have a lot of accolades behind you. The resume looks good. You come in for the interview. Your tie's undone. You're sweaty. You can't make coherent sentences. I mean, are you still getting the job? Your resume looks good, but you came in for the interview and your interview was shit.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I mean, you guys, how about this? I'll make you guys a deal. Next interview you get, do that. Tell me how it goes. If somebody has
Mitch, I didn't get the job because of the Raiders report. F you.
Or if somebody could hire to be a janitor and wear tuxedos, that would also be legit.
Ketchup and onions?
Raider Honcho, sign Shane Footsteps Falco.
Nice. Good reference.
What's the reference? I'm kidding. I wore the number, though. I got my Falco jersey on.
Nice.
No, I'll be honest. It's not the greatest. It's a little overrated.
Bill from Joyzy.
What up, Bill?
Belichick and Brady is the Patriot way, not McDaniels and Garoppolo. Raider fans after 20 years can't handle small-time signings.
I don't disagree with this statement. But I'm also starting to wonder, was the Patriot way just Tom Brady? Because I don't know. Brady goes down to Tampa Bay, wins Super Bowl. Since Brady has left New England, Bill Belichick, without Tom Brady, has a losing record. I mean, come on. OG, Tyree Wilson at 7 with him and Mad Max would be crazy.
He said he wanted to play with him.
Yeah, and you're right. To me, he would be an incredible player. I think the only way the Raiders honestly do this is if they are genuinely concerned with Chandler Jones and him not being ready to be playing week 1. Because to me, Tyree Wilson, when you look at his athletic ability, his long length, it actually kind of does remind me of a Chandler Jones. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as what Jones was in his prime, but Tyree Wilson and Max Crosby would be a dynamic duo. It's just, if Chandler Jones is healthy, okay, then where does Tyree line up? Because then you're gonna play 3 defensive ends? No, he's probably gonna be an outside linebacker, stand-up guy, and I want him on the field every single down. That's how good he is. What?
Steven Riddle, if you're watching this now, go ahead and hit the live button. He's talking about lemon and limes and water.
Oh man, he's still waiting for it to go live. He's watching the Just Win babies roll in right now. I love it. Let's go to Steel Cage. Also, were you here when I FaceTimed Steel Cage?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
In his home gym.
Yeah, homeboy
right after he learned how to super chat.
Yeah, I mean, Steel Cage is he's changing the world. When he sees that phones now, you don't have to flip them open, shit's going to change. I still feel like when Steel Cage super chats or turns on the Raiders report, all you hear in the background, get off the phone!
To yours, your question, I don't think they do.
If I was Bobby Wagner, I would say take me to a team that gives me a legit chance to win a Super Bowl. And I don't know if teams actually think that that's the Raiders right now. I mean, you could make the argument they are the weakest team in this division as it stands. A division that's got Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Sean Payton now in this division. If they pay him a lot of money,
well, I was gonna say
that changes.
It's two things. You either gotta be a contender and he can win a Super Bowl right now, which Raiders can't guarantee that. You have to overpay. I don't see the Raiders doing that.
The Raiders have yet to give me any indication that they're overpaying. The only player that they have overpaid for is Robert Spillane, and you might be able to make an argument they overpaid for Marcus Epps considering some of the other contracts that have rolled through thus far. But in terms of Wagner, I'd give it one just win, baby, and it's probably even just half a just win, baby. Let's go to Friday's MVP, Sergio. Let's go Raiders! Thanks, Raider Nation. Real One for Life. Welcome back, Chugs.
Hey, thanks, Sergio.
Well, guys.
I actually had a crazy weekend. So
you did?
Yeah, I went down to see my mom, and then I think I told you earlier, but got me and Danny some tickets to the rodeo.
Yep.
And I messed up. The ticket said we went to go see Luke Bryan yesterday.
Okay.
At Houston Rodeo. The ticket said Luke Bryan, 3:45.
Okay.
When you hear that, what time do you think the concert starts?
3:45.
No. That's when the rodeo started. The concert started at 7:30.
Oh.
So we waited the whole time, watched the concert, because I was like, oh, 3:45, like 5:30, we'll drive back. We'll get back to Dallas around like 9:30. Didn't get back until like 1.
Yikes. I mean, I guess it'd be like UFC, like the prelims.
Yeah, but like we want to watch the main fight. Oh yeah, the UFC fight starts at 7. You're waiting 4 hours. You're like,
yeah, that's kind of brutal. However, going to the rodeo is a good time, and
it was boot scooting fun.
Chugs did get me something, so we'll show it on another day.
That might be the only thing that was worth it.
So Chugs got me this. It's essentially a 3D model of Allegiant Stadium, and you can turn a light on, and this might surprise you, light up. It's really freaking cool. We've talked about potentially doing it as a giveaway, but I don't know. It looks pretty freaking sick on my desk. I'm not going to lie.
It looks pretty dope. I'm not going to lie.
It's really, really cool. We'll show you guys maybe tomorrow or on a future Raiders Report show. But Sergio, cheers to you, my guy.
Rusty, before it was the Pats way, it was the Raider way. We had no name players and considered misfits that became great. I believe it's about coaching.
You do need great coaching. I guess my other question is, do you believe in McDaniels to be able to be that teacher, to be able to be that coach? Like,
do you believe?
I don't. One of the best qualities that a coach has to have is the ability to teach. And I mean, I'm sorry, maybe this is wrong for me to say because I get some people are not good public speakers. There was a point in my time when, I had to give a PowerPoint presentation, high school, college, whatever it was. I didn't like doing it. I didn't feel like I was a good public speaker. Now, if I got to talk about the Raiders, I could literally do it. No graphics, whatever the hell it is. I could go. Why? Because I feel like I know the topic well enough that I can just free flow and we can talk about it. When I listen to Josh McDaniels talk football in front of people, again, maybe he's nervous.
He sounds like the guy who didn't read the summer book and he comes into class the first day and he just read the Spark Notes.
I mean, you're not wrong. He read the cover of To Kill a Mockingbird, and he's like,
wait,
yes, let Mockingbird, huh? To Kill a Mockingbird?
Oh, it sounded like you said Tequila
Mockingbird. Well, there's an inside joke there, but To Kill a Mockingbird, and he's like, yeah, dude, that poor Mockingbird, he didn't need to die. Like
that poor Mockingbird, he already had shots of Fireball, and then he started mixing, and it just wasn't.
Dude, the Wizard of Oz, never even met the wizard. I guess that is kind of what that whole movie. I've never seen that movie.
Mando with the new profile pic, looking good.
I'm praying we go defense in the first and not offensive line. I think everybody from Raider Nation is kind of hoping the exact same thing.
We're all hoping for the D.
deep down, the Raider fans want a good D.
Oh, they want the D bad.
Like, what they were hoping for is just a really hard, stout D that makes the black hole proud.
Oh, 100%.
Kathy. Who do you think the Raiders will pick in the first? Oh, man.
Probably the D.
I mean, it's such a difficult question because what if they trade back? Do they stay at number 7? I think if they were to stay at number 7 right now, it would be a Christian Gonzalez. I believe that they like Christian Gonzalez a lot. I really do.
If he's there, if the Lions don't pick him.
The Lions could take him. I think the Raiders trade back. I think there is a better chance that the Raiders trade back than take number 7. And I also know that Ziegler loves the trade during the draft. And the Raiders had 4 or 5 last season, so just 6 picks.
For people just now joining us, just a reminder, these are the 3 players the Raiders signed today, the reason why we went live. O.J. Howard, the tight end, formerly with the Bucks and the Texans. Jaquan Johnson, a reserve defensive back safety from the Buffalo Bills.
He's a special teams guy.
Special teamer. And Jordan Willis from the 49ers.
Correct. Jordan Willis, Niners. So you're looking at depth, and depth. O.J. Howard is right now the top tight end on this team. However, though, if you're still, to me, the Raiders got to find a starter. Like, O.J. Howard can't be your everyday tight end. He can't be the guy out there. Now, in run-first situations, the other thing that I talked about on the segment that went out earlier today around Howard was his red zone ability. Like, when you look at how big Howard is, he's 6'6", he's 250. That was the size of Darren Waller. Howard is not nearly the athlete that Waller is. But let's say you're first and goal, ball's at the 3-yard line. Howard can at least block. Darren Waller couldn't block. So Howard can block for you, and then he also has the option to catch the football. Howard is the better run blocker, and he has the let me see. How do I say this? He's the better blocker, but then also gives you that red zone ability, which is what the Raiders really need. Red zone ability.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, Rich.
That's how you say. How do you say in French?
Oh, really?
Je ne sais quoi.
See, I only know bonjour. Rich Wolf, when these tax returns hit, expect some jersey money. So for those that don't know what jersey money is, essentially what we're doing here on the Raiders Report
we're not talking about douchey guys on the East Coast.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, no, I mean, this is not the Jersey Shore, which that would be kind of a fun show. If we do like a Jersey Shore, like a Jersey show.
I actually listened to Pardon My Take. They interviewed Snooki. Actually, a pretty decent interview.
I've met Snooki.
Really?
I told you, Snooki's boyfriend used to go to my college.
Oh, yeah.
Gianni. Yeah. He was a wrestler at Centenary.
Nice.
He was this big. He's a wrestler. Would never mess with him, but I remember seeing him and then seeing her. I was like, they showed up to a party when I was a freshman, and Centenary about melted down. All 1,000 people rallied to the lacrosse house. But hey, it is what it is. If you're wondering, though, what the heck the jersey money is, I got a Raider Ron jersey on. As you all can see, shout out to the GOAT. I also just got my John Borelli. I've got a few other ordered. If you want your jersey here on the Raiders Report, we are doing a Raiders Report Ring of Honor. So I am retiring jerseys. We have number 1, taken. Number 2, taken. Number 4, gone. Number 6, I want to say, is also potentially gone. I know 14, 16, 22... 24, 44, and then I believe 69. Those are all the jerseys that are taken right now. If I missed one, please, I gotta update the graphic. But $500 Venmo, your jersey here on the Raiders Report, and I'll wear it during live shows. Let's go to Tony V. Love the show, Mitch and Chugs. Have you guys talked about the Waller story about him ghosting during the bye week and not responding to messages? Thoughts? Have we talked about this? Yes, a few times, but again, we were live last week, Tony, for 42 hours. So I probably talked about it for 10 minutes in total. And when you're live for 42 hours, it's hard to catch everything. So I get it. Here's the thing, though. With the Waller story, there's a few things that go into this. And I'm a big read the tea leaves guy. This to me goes all the way back to when the Raiders gave Darren Waller his contract. They gave him a contract extension, 3 years, $51 million. They made him the highest paid tight end in the National Football League. And then also that offseason, they took away his captain status. There were reports in the offseason of players, especially Waller, maybe not putting 100% effort there. And there was even some reports the year in 2021 that Waller wasn't putting everything he had out there on the field, that he might have been holding back looking for a new contract. So when you hear stuff like that, and then you hear about the story on the bye week where he was just said, screw it, I'm out, I'm not going to respond to any messages, F the team, I'm going to go do my own thing. I'll also say it looks like he's putting a lot more concentration into his music career. And then there was the disagreement of Waller with the marriage. He didn't want it to be leaked by McDaniels. McDaniels did it anyway. I think we all know deep down Waller can be an incredible player. But I think we also know deep down that Darren Waller in 2020 and 2019 is a totally different guy. Waller seems like to me he got his paycheck and since then is totally checked out. And where football right now is not his top priority. I get he just got married. You can still put your wife number one. Family should always come first. I get that. What I'm concerned about is he put his music career, I actually think, over top of his NFL career. For you as a Raiders team, you're up 16-3 over the Los Angeles Rams. You blow the game, and then that night you drop your new album. And that's you not giving a frick.
And it's upsetting because, like he kind of came back, was kind of out of the NFL. The Raiders gave him a second chance. He proved himself, and then for this to happen, it's a little upsetting.
It's very upsetting. I've defended Waller so much because Waller's story is incredible. It's a player who had all the talent in the world, unfortunately pissed away his career because of drugs, got clean, and then got an opportunity and changed his life, his family's life, his kids' life. He changed generations. And I just hope that he's still on the straight and narrow path because, I don't know, man. I got a lot of people in my family. You just hope that they're still doing all the right things, and I hope that Waller's doing that. And if he wants to concentrate on other things, that's fine. And I just don't think that he's going to be a Raider, right? Jalen Carter having a bad pro day. He might be there at 7, young. Should we take him if he's there? I say, yeah, the talent worth the risk. Plus, Crosby is a leader. Crosby is a leader, and you like to believe that you'd be able to help out any young man possible. I just don't know if I want to take the risk on Jalen Carter. And you're right, I'm a tape guy. He's got all the tape in the world. Tape does not lie. But that's another guy. Does he love football? One of my biggest knocks on Damon Arnett was I heard right when he was coming out of the draft, didn't love football. And I got roasted for saying that Damon Arnett was going to be a terrible pick. I got roasted for that. There's just some guys, if you don't love football, it scares the hell out of me. And if he would have had a great pro day, to me though, since football has ended, it's hard to lower your stock as much as he's lowered it. And he has already regressed massively in 3 months. Is that something that we're going to have to deal with every offseason? Is that going to be something where, hey, he's put on 20 pounds, he's going to deal with injury issues? Like Mekhi Becton is a guy that I think he's an incredible offensive tackle for the Jets. He got paid, and he got fat. And when you put on 20, 30 pounds, obviously he's not there yet. At this type of level, that could be a difference between Jalen Carter, a first-round pick, Jalen Carter, a third-round pick. It's him being out of shape 10 to 15 pounds. And right now, Jalen Carter has not shown me that he loves football. So for that, I was all in on Carter. I don't know if I want him anymore.
Yeah.
The pro day scared the hell out of me. He was awful at his pro day. Awful. Raider Roger, just win, baby. And look at that picture.
Love it.
That's something, man.
Adriano, would Hendon Hooker be worth a 3rd or a 4th?
Yes. I just don't know. He's not going to be there at 4th. I don't even know if he's going to be there in the 3rd because anytime there's a run at quarterback that's going to make positions, other possessions start to go off the board a little bit earlier, right? So to me, I see Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, and Bryce Young. To me, they might not all be locked and loaded top 10, but I do think that all those players are guaranteed to go in the first round. If all of that happens, I would say then the consensus next best quarterback is Hooker. Some people might have Hooker a little bit lower because of the injury, but overall, if a team believes that they need a QB, then I really do think that they could potentially try to go out and get one. But Adriano, appreciate the question, man. All right, guys, that's all the super chats that I have for y'all on today's live show.
Is Lent L-E-N-T?
Lent? I think it's L-E-N-T. Yeah, why? Trying to spell?
Yeah.
I got you. Now, if you guys haven't already interacted with me, it's Twitter, it's Instagram, at Mitchell Renz 365. And then I did plan on going live on locals a little bit later on today, so we'll see if that ends up going down. But at the end of the day, guys, I want y'all to have a good time when you watch the show. If you do want to join us for our locals, please don't be shy. Don't be afraid to come around. I'm down to get down. But if you want to keep this show live going right now, well, I need this. We said that we would stay live until 4 if we don't get any other super chats. Unfortunately, we got to get going. We'd have to hand over the studio to some of the other guys here. I don't know if we really need to go to loop. I think we already have the one cut out, right?
Yeah.
So the one cut's already out. So what ended up happening today was O.J. Howard, he ended up signing the Raiders. They also signed Jordan Willis. And then the Raiders also ended up signing Jaquan Johnson. So 3 moves ended up going down today. And overall, it's a lot of depth, right? Like O.J. Howard, he's right now the starter on this team. Jaquan Johnson has been bad in coverage on defense, but he's been a good special teams player. And then Jordan Willis is more of a rotational defensive lineman. So I know the Raiders have still been waiting and hoping that we would finally get that big-time move. And unfortunately, it hasn't really happened yet. So we're going to try to stay patient. Sean says stay live. I mean, I want to be able to stay live, but the bosses are starting to say, hey, you guys got to wrap it up.
And Mitch is actually going live.
I will be going live on locals. Yeah, now, don't get me wrong. If the supers keep flowing, we can stay live. But since there are no more, there are other people here that need to be able to make their videos, and we have like 6 live shows going on, so Monday is usually the day that I don't go live. And because of that, there's other people that need to be able to hop into studios here. So we'll give you guys 60 more seconds. Much love to every single person that tuned in today. If you don't already know, I'm going to be live tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. And, oh man, I see somebody lost a loved one. RIP's in the chat right now. I'm going to be live tomorrow. If there is more breaking news, I'll go live a little bit earlier. That's usually what we end up doing here. Shout out to Valerie. Shout out to Rebel, Matthew Yoakum, Daniel Jimenez. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in. And see, man, I'm really, really sorry to hear about your loss. Can't even imagine. Literally cannot even imagine losing my dad right now. That'd be, no doubt, that'd be very, very tough. We did just get a super chat. This one's coming in from Gustavo. This one says, gotta think Ziegler, McDaniels have 2024 guaranteed with their approach through free agency. Gotta hit on the draft. I think going into it, yes, you would like to think that they have it locked and loaded for 2024. However, though, I also think Mark Davis is like, well, we're still like not trying to be absolutely terrible, right? Because I don't think if Ziegler and McDaniels was like, yeah, we're going to go from 6-11, we're going to have another really bad year, Mark's not going to like that.
Yeah.
If the Raiders go 2-6, 1-7, and they look like an absolute dumpster fire, then I actually think that could change things really quickly. If the Raiders are 4-4 or they're 7 I don't know, they got 7 wins, 9 losses, 7-10 at the end of this whole thing, then Mark might not look at that as a major loss because, all right, you're able to recoup, you're able to go forward, have some of these extra draft picks. But I don't think Mark wants to lose.
Also, awesome picture. Guessing that's your son dressed up as Max Crosby for Halloween or something. Dope picture.
Okay. Is that the shoulder pads and all? It's hard for me to see from my angle. You could probably see it a little bit better than me. What do we got? Rebel. Oh, boy. I'll check it. Interesting. All right, I'm going to send you this name, Chugs. I'll say this right now. I think Rebel just bought you guys another 30 minutes. Hang on. I'm going to send you the exact name. Rebel, is your initials MV? Do you want me to put it as Rebel Montana, or do you want me to put it as your real name? Somebody said it's Hasbullah. Was that who that was? And the last one? I can't see it.
It looked like it. It looked like your kid, or like a kid. My bad. If it was Hasbullah, that's hilarious.
All right, so this is. I don't know if it's Rebel. Somebody said we traded. No, Hollins. Yeah, he went to Atlanta. Thank you, reveal. Sergio's already spamming bang. This is going to be a bang. My question is, do you want me to, I don't know, put your real name? Because that's what we might have to do here.
He said just put Rebel Montana.
Just put Rebel? Okay. There we go. Rebel, all I'll need you to do then is message me. All right, he already did. Oh, wow. This is really cool. This is really cool. You know what?
Is this correct?
Oh, yeah. So because he did this, I'll tell you guys this right now.
New Jersey.
This might start a shit show here. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You guys, it's his birthday. He bought you some time. So this one's rolling in from Rebel Montana. Bang! Put him on the Raiders Report Hall of Fame. So not many people do what Rebel did. Oh! David Zahn! Bang! And here we go. But go back to Rebel. Go back to Rebel. So Rebel, happy birthday. I want everybody to spam happy birthday to Rebel. He said, since it's my birthday today, he's going to get his jersey in the Raider Hall of Fame. He's going to be a black jersey, number 20, which Rebel, good, because number 20 is like one of my favorite numbers, and I hate every time that I think of 20, I think of Damon Arnett. So this is good. Number 20 for Rebel. Everybody spam HBD. I'll give you a shout out here on the show if you do it. So the deal that I'm going to make, y'all, is because it's Rebel's birthday and because Zahn just sent in a $100, OJ Howard, the idea was to do somehow an OJ boot. So if we can get a few more, we're getting close to an OJ boot. But no matter what, though, if I could grab a happy dad out there, we'll do a beer bong on today's show. Happy birthday, Real Montana, Rebel Montana, and for David Zahn. If you want to shout out here on the show, get those HBDs rolling from Jaime, Sergio, Daniel Jimenez, Barrio Clips, Zelbo69, Keystone Raider. What up, D-Block 44? This next one. Also, this is a lot of spots on our Boot Hall of Fame from Raider Gains. I don't think these are bad moves by the Raiders. On the business end, they are logical when looking at the big picture. I mean, realistically, I don't think that they're bad moves either. However, they're also not good moves, right? Like, the OJ Howard move I like, because if he's healthy, I do think actually you're probably going to be able to get, I think you could get 3-4 touchdowns out of him, which is what you would pay him for. Like, if I got to pay Foster Moreau $7 million a year compared to OJ Howard at 2, I would rather pay OJ Howard at 2 than Foster at 7 and then just draft a tight end. Like, that to me is better for this Raiders organization overall compared to Foster at 7 then you can't continue to build. Where if the Raiders decide to take that money that they end up saving, right? If you take the $5 million you end up saving, then guess what? You can spend more, hopefully, on another position. Maybe 2, though. Raider Gaines, cheers to you. Jeremy, he went to go get, we got nothing. Oh, man, that's brutal. Welp. A beer and OJ boot. All right, it's going to get weird. A beer and OJ boot. Never done before, but for Rebel's birthday, we're going to do it. A beer and OJ boot. Yikes. OJ Howard, little OJ, get it going. I think I need another one. Ah! Yeah. In honor of Rebel's birthday, we are going to try to do I wanted to do a mimosa boot with OJ, but we don't have any champagne left, so that's an L on me. But we do have some Miller Lights, I guess. So we're going to end up, we're going to try to get this thing going. Tropical says sounds awful. Doesn't sound good. But we're going to do the best we can. Gracias. Chugs is pouring this next beer, which I'm a little bit worried about. Never know with Chugs, man. All right, we got the OJ boot here. I need to tie my shoe. So when Jeremy gets back, I'm going to tie my shoe. I'm going to knock down the boot here for Rebel. He's been a real one, man. Huge shout out to David Zahn as well. And shout out to the nation for never being scared. I mean, you guys are a just wild, and I mean a wild group of people. Michael says, gross face. I mean, this this is fluorescent. I'm not going to lie. This, on camera, this actually doesn't look that bad. Doesn't smell good, though. A Miller Lite. So it's 2 Miller Lights, 1 orange juice. I mean, that's technically.
Doesn't seem too bad.
It technically is less. If anything, I might get hydrated from
Rebel,
this.
newest member on our Raiders Hall of Fame.
Hey, we'll have to, now we got.
Hanging in the rafters.
Remember, once the jersey is purchased, nobody will ever be able to get a jersey. So if you're trying to get one,
they can't give you the Reggie Bush treatment. They can't take it back.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna do that. Rebel, thanks everyone.
JC Raider
Raiders.
All right, so
Rebel, I love this team, man. Somebody said I'd drink that.
Mitch is gonna drink the mimosa boot. We're gonna chill for about 20 more minutes.
Yep.
And let me find another question on here.
Let's get another question. I'm going to add a few names here to our Boot Hall of Fame. Remember, every 100 you send in, you get added to the Boot Hall of Fame.
Let me know. And I'm going to preface this by saying this can either be a team or a player.
Okay.
Who's the biggest winner in this year's free agency? Team or player? Let me know.
Ooh, man. I mean, Rebel Montana, is that right? Yeah.
Player, it might be Javon Hargrave. He got the bag from the 49ers.
I mean, I might say Tremaine Edmonds. When you
Tremaine
look at
Edmonds
some
got
of the
the bag.
linebacker contracts compared to his definitely sticks out to me. I would also say, I mean, one of the biggest losers has got to be Orlando Brown. So apparently Orlando Brown, he turned down a 5-year, like $139 million deal last offseason to take something much, much less. Rebel Montana. I got to add a few more spots here on this boot for a good old Reb. What about you, Chugs? Who do you think? I do like a lot of the moves though Chicago made. I love what Detroit's doing this offseason. You all right?
Oh, yeah, we're good. The biggest winner for me?
The Bears got to be a winner. I think Carolina, they've been actually pretty aggressive. They traded up. They're going to get their quarterback. And I would have thought that it would have costed them more. But I'll probably say Chicago. They've done a good job in free agency. And, yeah, they traded the first-round pick. or the first overall pick, but they were still able to at least get something, and they are truly building for the future.
I actually really like that trade for the Bears because it allows them to take other positions of need besides wide receiver.
Sure.
Because adding DJ Moore, he's a legit number 1 in the league right now, and I think it turns wide receiver from a top 2 need for the Bears to on the back burner where they can get a wide receiver in the later rounds. If they just traded back and they didn't get a wide receiver in that trade and didn't sign anybody, they would have had to take a receiver in the first 2 rounds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But now getting DJ Moore in that trade and getting the first, they're able to probably get an offensive lineman instead.
They need all the offensive line help that they can get.
They signed. Who did they sign?
They signed somebody on the offensive line.
Was it McGlinchey?
Could have been.
I think they signed McGlinchey.
Wow, the Broncos just waived Lamar Jackson. Defensive back.
Corner. Yeah.
Honestly, the way that Field Yates should have did that was Lamar Jackson released. ...
By the Broncos.
By the Broncos. Yeah. That's the way I would have done it, but hey.
Mr. Casual Spaz, I believe you're talking about the Raiders. They're saving for the future and signing scheme fits.
The Ravens have just signed Nelson Aguilar. Interesting move right there.
That's probably a vid.
Yeah, probably. We'll see how quick they get to it. They're saving for the future and signing scheme fits. I know that they're trying to save. That's just kind of what the Patriot Way is a lot of the time, but.
Yeah, and they signed Nate Davis. The Bears did.
Nate Davis.
And then the Broncos signed Mike McGlinchey. That's my bad.
Okay. I'll say, I thought they added somebody, and I like Nate Davis. I think he's a really good offensive lineman, and they got him for a pretty good price, so no doubt, pretty good move there. Let's go to Raiders Salute. Indeed, Edmonds did get one hell of a contract.
Biggest loser, TJ Edwards.
Oh, man, he's definitely got to be up there.
I mean, to have a season like he did and get underpaid by that much, I mean, he's literally only a year older than Tremaine Edmonds.
I think teams looked at what the Philadelphia Eagles were as a defensive line.
Yeah.
And, when you have that good of a D-line, that makes everyone else around you that much better. Which, not TJ Edwards' fault, but that's going to seems like impact his overall value.
Yeah.
Also, the Falcons are hosting Mike Hughes. There's a lot of news rolling in right now. The Cowboys, they hosted Ronald Jones as a visit, in addition to Chuma Edoga and Traven Howard. So 3 players the Cowboys had in on a visit. That was just being reported. Mitch, would you have kept Hollins over Renfrow? I would not have. I still think the better player is Renfrow offensively.
Yeah.
However, as special teams player, I do think Hollins is the better guy. But you can find, to me, elite special teams players easier than you can find a receiver who has the ability to catch 75 to 100 footballs. Also, the Texans hosted Devin Singletary for a visit today. A lot of reports are starting to roll in. Oh, now you got to ask this question. I think there's going to be some people that say the Raiders.
We asked the winner. I mean, now we got to ask the loser. And like I said, it can either be a player or a team. Biggest loser in this year's free agency. Have we done a main video on that yet?
So here's the thing. There's 2 reports here. The first report was, this is kind of interesting. So Yates actually just changed his tweet. He changed it. He said that the Ravens hosted Aguilar. So it's hosted, not signed, hosted.
Boo.
Yeah, hosted. So I thought he ended up signing. All right, I got to do this. Boo.
People might say Philly.
I mean, they've lost a lot of talent. They've lost a lot of talent on the defensive side of the football. Also, John Feliciano, who I know y'all do not like, signing with the Niners.
Makes us not like him even more, I guess.
Probably doesn't even like him even more. Yep, so John Feliciano signing with the San Francisco 49ers. Played a career high 971 snaps last season. Packers Ravens, Raiders. That's kind of the common theme right now. Philly as well for biggest losers.
Yeah. We have Ravens. I mean, the fact that the Ravens haven't figured out the Lamar Jackson issue is a loss in itself.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, also, another thing with that is, even if he does come back to the Ravens, how motivated is he to really win and build a culture with this team right now? The fact that they didn't give him the contract he wanted, the fact that, people, I feel like you don't play as good as you can be if you don't feel like you can trust the team you're playing for.
That's fair. I mean,
you saw it with Waller with McDaniels.
Yeah. You see it all the time with players. Like, if you don't like certain guys, I also think, like, a lot of people are freaking out about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson going to the Lions for the price. He's got a great relationship with their head coach, who, guess what, was the tight ends coach in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And then also, I forget which other coach it is that's on the Lions, was like a huge mentor for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in New Orleans.
Was it the defensive coordinator?
I don't remember. I'd have to see.
Aaron Glenn?
Glenn, yes. Was also a huge mentor for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So, like, everyone's like, oh, man, he went so cheap to Detroit.
I watched Hard Knocks.
He's going to Detroit because those two were his guys. Like, sometimes those things do ultimately end up happening a lot. All right, guys, that's what I want you all to do. I want you all to spam Rebel Montana in the chat right now.
Rebel Montana.
This boot is presented by Rebel Montana. The Raiders, they signed O.J. Howard. So thought it was only suitable to do a O.J. I wanted to do a mimosa boot, but unfortunately,
we actually don't just keep champagne around the office.
Yeah, no. We got plenty of Miller Lite, though. So O.J. and Miller Lite.
It is.
Here we go. So, Chugs, you give shout-outs to everyone spamming Rebel.
Spam Rebel, spam O.J., giving shout-outs. Spencer says, drink the damn boot. Spencer also saying Rebel Montana. Let's go. Spam it. Sarah, Coach Palumbo, Quiet Storm, Raider 508, Lucas Burns, Raymond Schleicher, Sergio Orozco, Jeffrey Kreiser, PG saying Hannah Montana. Oh, wow. Carlos, Maine Rivera 408, Spencer Schwartz, Pat Phillips, D Block 44, Ruben 123, Keystone Raider 1982, Chris Smith, Daniel Kim, and there we go. Boom goes the dynamite.
That was a lot harder than I thought.
Really? I thought the orange juice might chill it out because it's really sweet.
It tastes better, but it honestly felt heavier.
Pulp?
I don't think there was any pulp in it.
No pulp?
No, it felt heavier though. Like it felt like I was drinking a lot more than just 3 beers. Oh man. Oh boy.
Woo.
All right, let's burp it out. All right, Zon sent in a 100 today, which, Zon, are you still watching the show, my guy? Zon the other day was on this show, and it did get pretty freaking wild. You guys should play Madden for the live. It's funny.
It wouldn't be fair.
We've thought about doing like Madden simulations on this show, but also I don't play video games. I would probably be the worst video game player here at the office.
I'm probably the best.
Ooh, I don't know. You think?
I mean, unless we're not playing Tom's 2012 NCAA, then the one game that he plays religiously, then besides that, we're just playing straight up Madden. I'm waxing him.
If it's N64, though, that's where I might shine. N64 Mario Kart, I'm tough to beat. I'm not going to lie, tough to beat. Who will be the Raiders' starting tight end in 2023? Oh, man, this is a question. This is a hell of a question. I hope it's not O.J. Howard. I'm hoping it's some rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to hope it's some young rookie.
Kuntz.
Oh, Raiders' perspective. I mean, I'm going to let Graf do his thing, man. Rebel Montana, what's up?
Rebel Montana.
He said, what? I'm Mario Kart N64. What year is this from Martin?
Rainbow Road from Spencer.
Also, the Houston Texans are signing Dalton Schultz. $9 million, 1-year deal. Dalton Schultz to Houston.
Did not see that coming. Staying in the Lone Star State.
I mean, I did a video this morning around potential destinations for Schultz.
So
Texans are on there.
One of my good buddies.
I guessed wrong though.
One of my good buddies who tunes into the show from time to time. He was convinced. He was about to bet me, which I didn't want to do it just because there was still a slight chance because of after the Waller trade.
Sure.
He was willing to bet me $20 that the Raiders signed Dalton Schultz. And I kept on telling him no.
Chance. No chance.
That's what I told him. I was like, there's still a slight chance, so I don't want to bet him.
No.
But he was like, dude, $20, the Raiders signed Dalton Schultz. I bet you the Raiders signed Dalton Schultz.
I would have bet $500.
I should have given you his number.
That they never were going to do that. They want, one, they're not going to spend big.
Yeah.
That's already going to tell you that.
That's what I told him. I was like,
that ain't going to happen.
I was like, no way they trade Waller and then immediately pay another tight end $10, $12 million a year.
I mean, also Schultz can't block. Not the way that the Raiders want a blocking tight end.
Yeah.
Like they want a blocker. So we'll see.
Tom in shambles?
I mean,
shout
out to Houston. They're trying to build the
opposite
offense.
of shambles.
Will's not here. The Texans want to be the Cowboys so bad.
Yeah. I mean, they both haven't won since 2000, so they're doing a great job.
I mean, overall, though, Houston, they're doing a pretty nice job of building an offense right now.
Tom has no comeback for that.
They're doing a good job building an offense right now. You got to give them credit where credit's due.
Yeah. But both love overpaying really crappy quarterbacks.
Raymond says, what is happening here with the Raiders? So what happened was the Raiders, they signed 3 players. O.J. Howard, who right now is your #1 tight end. The Raiders also ended up signing Jaquan Johnson, who is a defensive back. He's not very good as a safety, but he is a good special teams player. And then Jordan Willis was the other player that the Silver and Black brought in today. Defensive end / defensive tackle, a little bit undersized to be a DT, though not as fast as what you're looking for a edge rusher. He's depth. Like, all 3 of these guys are going to be depth moves. I don't even think that they're all locked and loaded to end up making the 53-man roster. I mean, you saw the Raiders last season. The very first guy the Raiders signed last offseason was Darius Phillips. He got cut. So just because you're signing these guys, that does not mean that they are locked and loaded on your roster. I just think right now the Raiders, they're going to do their due diligence. They're going to sit back. And
this might be a sneaky good signing.
We'll see. My problem with Jordan Willis, and it has nothing to do with him, he was on the San Francisco 49ers, and he was always the player that nobody worried about. Like, when you know for a fact you're getting the one-on-ones,
yeah,
that's a lot different. Where you put Jordan,
that could work the same way with Max on the other side of Max Crosby.
You still need another defensive tackle. Like, the Niners got the best defensive line in the NFL.
Oh, and
it's probably not that close.
It's probably not that close. If we're being honest.
I mean, it's definitely up there. Michael Yukon says, blah, 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 signings. I mean, some people might say that. And apparently, remember, Schultz reportedly declined a 3-year, $36 million deal before. And now he's taken that deal 1 year at $9 million.
He's probably firing his agent as well.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where I think right now you're seeing the tight end market, it's just low.
I think a lot of the times it's like,
honestly, a lot of the deals this offseason have been much lower than expected.
That's what I'm saying. Collusion with Lamar.
I don't know if collusion with Lamar.
Collusion!
But I mean, if these NFL teams are saying, hey, we're going to give you a lower amount of money. Also with Schultz, though, I mean, he only had 577 yards. Like, that's not a tight end that I wouldn't overpay. He's got knee injuries. We're taking a 1-year prove-it deal with Houston. Could be something to watch out for. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, nice safety blanket, I guess, for whatever quarterback they draft, if they do draft one.
Yep.
Or maybe Case Keenum time in Houston. Coming home.
No.
He's coming home.
I mean, they have to be taking a quarterback at 2. All the moves that they have made on offense, to me, is a team that they're trying to build an offense because they
have a sneaky good O-line with Shaq Mason. Did something just happen?
Texans just signed Devin Singletary. Another running back. So now
they have a sneaky good O-line, too. They got Shaq Mason. Laramie Tunsil got extended deal. They have Kenyon Green, who they drafted in the first round last year at left guard.
That was a little bit too high for me. But, or no, he's okay. I was thinking of another player. He just had a bad combine.
Kenyon Green was good. I think they got him in like the teens or something.
But then you also have 3 or 4 good receiving options, and you got a good tight end. Yeah, you just traded away Brandon Cooks.
You don't have a true number 1 though. That's the only thing.
Sure.
You have a lot of guys that can like spread it. You can spread it around. You have like Robert Woods, Nico Collins, now Dalton Schultz.
You got a really good young running back in Dameon Pierce.
Yeah.
Like Singletary now can finally be the number 2, which is probably his best role anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were a guy like Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, you're looking at that offense, and you're in a weak division.
Yeah, like I can work with this.
Jacksonville, Tennessee, Indianapolis, they all have a chance.
Texans are signing Devin Singletary.
I can't tell if you're serious right now.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
What I am serious about is plugging your socials.
All right, guys. So we decided to go live today for the breaking news, and we got a really big super chat right when we were getting ready to head off last time. Huge shout out to Rebel Montana. Shout out to Rebel Montana for everyone. Happy birthday wishes for him. If you guys haven't already.
Doing it big because he's Rebel Montana.
I mean, it's actually not a bad little beat you got there. Stay up to date with news and rumors at Mitchell Renz 365, and then I am getting ready to head on over to Locals.
Locals.
I will be live talking to some of the guys over there. However, if you want to keep this party rolling, we can always keep the party rolling here on the Raiders Report. So, I saw somebody say just signed up for Locals, but you can't do anything. That's not necessarily true, Martin. You can still interact with us. Like today when I go live on Locals, I'm just going to go live. It's not going to be for supporters only. So if you want to head on over to Raidersport.locals.com, you can join the live show that I'll be doing over there. I'll probably end up doing a mock draft or something, free agency in some regard. Yeah, this chat is a little bit crazy, Jimmy G Spot. There's no doubt about it. Somebody wants to sign Alex Leatherwood. That's definitely not going to happen. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock. If we don't get any more supers, we don't get any more questions, unfortunately, I got to head on out of here and turn this studio back over to somebody else, whoever decides to come in and then film their videos. To the 1,000 people that are still joining us right now, I salute you. Well, I appreciate all of y'all.
And Martin, that's the whole thing is that with Locals, YouTube is where we do all of our free content. You can come here, you can chat, you can watch all of the stuff. Locals, we've always said Locals is for the diehards that want that extra something. There's people who watch NFL on Sundays, and then there's people who have the league pass and watch all the games.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get that extra video, if you're trying to get that extra stuff, and I believe you can still watch over on Locals. Some stuff.
It's like I don't know. Some people have like subscriber only kind of stuff.
So it's like it's that little bit extra, and it makes it special because it's a smaller, more close-knit community of guys who are. Oh, sorry, that is really loud.
Yeah, I would say if you want to be able to build that more personal interaction with like Brandon, I know Wild One,
Daniel Jimenez,
Aaron will be there. Daniel,
if you're in, say I'm in.
Duvall says local sounds like a hookup site.
Who's in?
Gary, Mitch, eat the chip. It's funny. I went to look for the chip yesterday, couldn't find it again. I know you sent me the one place. I called. They said they had it. They didn't have it.
Really?
Yes.
So I looked online and it said they had it too. So that's a little.
Well, no, I looked at it. Was it last week? They said they had it. So then when I called, I'm like, "You guys have the chip, right?" They're like, "Yes." I got there, like, "We don't have the chip." I'm like, that just ticked me off. So I do have to end up eating the chip again. Unfortunately, for y'all, it's not going to be today because we just don't have it.
Raider Rob's in.
He's in?
Who else is in?
Hey, if you guys are in, you guys know.
I'm in.
You guys know. All right, y'all. We're gonna get ready to head on out of here. No loop today. We will be live tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. The only way that we're gonna go live earlier is if any other breaking news ends up going down, and if any other big time news around the Raiders happens today, we will also talk about it. So from me, from Jeremy Chuggs, enjoy the rest of your Monday, and as always, go Raiders.